Hi, this is János, Reword Audio with Kintaro. Please like, and if you haven't subscribed, just subscribe so you can find my channel easier the next time. And if you don't hit that notification bell thing, then YouTube will not show my newer videos coming up. So you need to click on that so that YouTube will show you when I post new videos. Kintaro is always looking out for the new videos, not to watch them but to be part of them. So today the subject is the voice of Lancelot against Cube Audio Fc8 Void Pipe. So how can we compare the two? And in a previous episode I said you cannot compare them because we are comparing spaceship technology to race car technology, and it's not the same. So you have a very different experience with the so with the spaceship technology you are traveling in the stars and exploring the sun and all sorts of stuff, but it won't allow you to explore like country roads. You won't be able to experience that thrill. And when you have a race car you can like um, if you go to Italy, to Firenze in the Mugello, and you drive in the mountains, it's just gorgeous, absolutely fantastic. So if you have like a Maserati there and you are driving on those Italian roads, it's a fabulous experience. And so it's like very different things that you are looking for that you can find with one and the other. The commonality is both of them will greatly reward if you have higher quality equipment. And my absolute warning for you is that for both you must have very high level system. And when you decide to either get one cube audio speaker or build your voice of Lancelot is when you have a very high level system, and uh, and that is an honest system, so it gives you an honest sound and not a show type of sound. If you gives you a show type of sound, I would say that probably with the Fc8, with the cube audio, you will still get by. It won't punish you, but it will let you know fully well that you are getting show. It will give you a big show, but it will not make it sound natural because it's being fed plastic. It won't turn plastic into mineral water. Okay? So it needs mineral water for you to get mineral water back. So that's one thing. Uh, for the voice of Lancelot, if you give that artificial garbage, you will not just hear that artificial garbage but smell it as well. So with that, absolutely you must not. So the cube audio Fc8 based speakers, or I would say most likely any other cube audio driver, if you have, they will already elevate your experience that you have right now and will be the best helping hand for you to show you honestly when you make an upgrade in the rest of your system that will elevate the sound. And it won't corner you into a dead alley, into a dead end, as many speakers do, that okay, now it's getting better, better, and now my sound is so crap I can't even listen to it. That's what the curve of systems building is for most mainstream hi-fi system. It gets better with all of the gear changes, and at one point you realize that I can't turn the system on anymore because it sounds so bad, and I don't understand how it happened because it was getting better and better and better and better and better, and now I can't even turn it on. So if you have the cube audio based loudspeaker, it will report you all what is happening in the system. It's not hiding, it's not holding back crucial elements that will bite your ass later on when you suddenly change something and that component gets released into the sound finally. So that's why it is an excellent companion, because even though the drivers are not cheap, they're pretty expensive, but the price compared to what you get, like for example, if you build a multi-driver speaker, let's say something with like the Mirage in a modern version, so you're buying the modern two 8-inch woofers and the soft dome tweeter, if it's high enough quality, it's going to be the same price as buying the Mirage. Plus, you need the crossover parts, and it's going to be much more expensive. And now you would say that, oh, maybe I would need a notch filter for the single driver to equilibrate whatever I have. But my reason is if you have a good system, then for the Fc8 you don't need the notch filter. There are many other single drivers, like lots of the Fostexes, you might need a notch filter, yes, but the Fc8 you don't need. But even for single drivers where you need a notch filter, a simple notch filter, the price of that is nothing compared to a complete crossover. So for a notch filter, usually you need maybe like a resistor and maybe two resistors and a capacitor, something simple like that, and like a simple Zobel network. But for a crossover, for a two-way speaker, maybe like a three-way for the high pass and two-way for the low pass, you need like an absolute array of parts. And your crossover might cost you more than the drivers itself. So when we factor all of that in, compared to the price of a single driver, even though if it's like 1400 euro or something like that, it will be still less than you wanting to try an equal level of experience with multiple drivers. Plus, with multiple drivers and the crossover parts, there's so much play, so much experimentation needed to optimize the crossover, that it will take you so much more expertise to build it, that if you're a beginner you will not be able to pull off a highly successful loudspeaker, while when you go just the single driver route, you will have a, it's almost impossible to not create a super high level implementation of it. And so that's one thing. Those are some things to why to go for these drivers, is that you will have a really high level of experience. And even if you're a new builder or you just have the cabinet plans that you have from Cube Audio or my void pipe plan that I posted online, you can use that for the Fc8, and just build a cabinet or give it to someone, they build it for you. It's totally foolproof. Just they make the cabinet for you, you put the driver in, that's it, ready. And you have a very high level loudspeaker for like less than $2,000 that will knock the spirit out of many $10,000 commercial speakers. So it's like really really high level. But what about the voice of Lancelot? So that type of technology, it's something that in the commercial range they are selling to you at the $100,000 range. So that's why it's something that's like really inaccessible to people, because if you want to buy a commercial version, you are going to outer space in the fun zone, and you are still not finding it, because as I said, there's either two options. One, you get the extreme sensitivity but no extreme low frequency response, or you get the wideband low frequency response but no sensitivity. So you have really hard time of finding anything commercial. The only one who was producing something, but he was not really commercial, the late Dr. Bruce Edgar. He built wide range system like that, but he passed away. So if there are floaters and someone sells his, you can buy it, but I don't see people who have people who have the late Dr. Bruce's speakers. They still use them, and they are so happy with them that they don't want to let go of them. So that option is out for you. And there are loudspeakers like I never heard myself the avant-gardes, but some would say that they are speakers like that. But what I heard from my friends who heard avant-gardes is that what they reported to me is that they do not have a level sound, so they have like really overblown high frequency response, uh, and the bass is shelved much lower, and that renders them very unlistenable on the long run. And they have their top of the line system that has the bass horn with it. I think that that is a big game changer in this aspect. I suspect that that one probably has the bass at that high level also, and I think that might be a system that can take up the glove with the late Dr. Bruce Edgar's full-blown uh, horn system. But I don't have any buddies or any friends who have heard that one, so I cannot really give any actual recommendations from my side, but or Kintaro's side either. But if you get a chance to listen to it, by all means, and if you can report back, I would be really happy to hear your comments on it. But as you will note that the top avant-garde system that comes at an extra orbital price range, so you cannot get it. And my voice of Lancelot, you can build it at an affordable level. If you mean like paying half your car's savings on parts is affordable for you, uh, but then you need to really get a real world audio buff and be an absolute pro on my loudspeaker videos to have that knowledge to pull it off. And I'm really happy to give advice for you, but don't have the time to babysit anyone to customize and give you plans or anything. I don't have that range. I have a really really busy job, and that busy job is getting even busier. So that's one thing. So how can now I proceed with the comparison? So the way I am using the voice of Lancelot is it I'm using it as an omnidirectional loudspeaker. So it's just absolutely crazy by creating an ambience and like a concert experience, and even like many recordings that were done as just a studio engineered recording that never happened in real life, such as like Mike Oldfield's On Down. It was like totally like a processed thing, but when I listen to it, I feel like I'm at a real life Omadon concert, and it's just mind blowing, and it doesn't feel showy. There's no blingy blingy and no lying to you stuff, but it just feels like I'm in that reality, that soundscape that he has created, and it's natural, and it is happening, and I am a part of it. It's an incredible experience, and that's where it has I never heard anything that comes even like 5 notches down to that experience. And now going for the cube audio, what it can give you, it's ultimate in a recital type of experience. So when you hear like someone playing a guitar, playing a lute or a flute, or these kind of things, when you go to these recital events and concerts, when I listen to them here in this room, I get the exact same experience as when I listen to these real life recitals, and it's just totally uncanny how natural, how good it is, and it's fantastic. And don't get me wrong, it also gives me an exceptional ambient experience. So if I put on music that has ambient stuff in it, it's amazing. You will just fly away. It's just insane, I would say. But when I play the same music with the voice of Lancelot, it's like it's like going to a starship ride instead of the race car drive. It's so far out. It's so far out. But I cannot by any conscience compare the two because they are so different technologies. And there's one more thing, that with the voice of Lancelot, your system, the tiniest weaknesses it had, it will show it to you. And you cannot use it as, okay, I build it, and I have like a really mediocrely beginner system, or maybe it's a high level, but in a mainstream fashion. So it has like high feedback, really transistorized. That will not sound anything like you want. Like maybe in the beginning, wow, it will give you an astonishing show, perhaps a better show than you ever heard in your life. But after a few days, you will realize that, geez, there are things happening. Like, wow, I never heard these things before, and it's like nasty as. So those speakers are for you only after a lifetime of getting there, and and it needs a lot, but what it can give you is also a lot. But it will give you that ambient feel, how music feels in real life. It will not give you fake visual cues, because that's what mainstream today does, is that because it wants to give us an experience, how we experience a real musical event, but and give it in our rooms. But in our rooms you do not have visual cues from the players, because there are no players in your room. It's coming from a recording. It's invisible. Musicians are invisible. So the gear is using tricks on how to make them visible, like almost. So it's like I can almost see them. I can see him with clarity. And that's not happening because your system is so good, but it's happening because it's doing specific alterations to the sound. And one of the alterations that a system is doing to make these musicians appear visually, like almost visually, almost like you can see holographically how they are in the room, is compressing the dynamic range. And with the Cube Audio speaker, the dynamic range is about 91, 92 dB, which is 10 dB less than what the voice of Lancelot does. And the dynamic compression, that results in a better visibility. So you have a 3D image that you are used to from common high-end gear. I would say not common, but the finest of them. And it gives you the best image, like the best of the best. That's what you can expect from the Cube Audio. But from the voice of the Lancelot, it's not going to give you a visual cue. But if you just close your eyes, and that's how you attend a concert, like you go to the symphony, or like a pop concert or rock concert, and then or any other concert, close the eyes, and you just listen to the sound. And then after the symphony experience, like you listen to Beethoven's symphony, you go home, put on Beethoven's symphony, also close the eyes. It gives you the exact same feeling. You can even tell which seat of the house you are sitting in. And it's just like, okay, so if I'm just blindfolded and I'm just sat down, often if they put on like a really high quality recording, I cannot tell with any clear conscience whether I am hearing a recording or I am being at the symphony hall. It is that, it's at that level. And what I have with the traditional speakers, which have the lower dynamic range, like the 90s, like low 90s efficiency, they have this slight compression, which is not that much, just like 10 times compression compared to the 102 dB, but that's enough to have trick our brains to produce visual cues for us. And I have to admit as well that as an audiophile, I got also at a level addicted to this fake image, fake holographic image, because it's beautiful, it's something wonderful, and it's an experience. And then that's what we want experiences. And that's an experience that I cannot get with the voice of Lancelot. Actually, if I flip the compression drivers to face me, yes, I can get it. And then it gives me like such crazy, crystal clear, sharp image. It's crazy, but it's still not triggering the visual cues, but it gives that, like you can't tell if there's a person in front of you, and not because your visual cortex is tweaked, but when you have a live person singing, how their sound projects is that your brains process it that there's a point of origin, but it's not a point, it's the body resonating. So even though the singer is singing with her lips, but you feel her lungs resonating, her entire body resonating. And when the sound emanates from the mouth, you first hear that sound leaving, and then you feel that body resonance, and then you feel as if this sound field is amplifying from that person, and it's projecting. And it's the same thing in the orchestra that I always notice when I close my eyes, that like when you hear the tuba playing, that is just woo, and then you feel that resonance just like building up and growing. It's just astonishing, and that's something that's not there with lower efficiency speakers. You do not have that effect. Instead, all of that sound is restricted in that point of origin, and you feel it as a very solid object. It's solidified, and it's very beautiful to hear, but that's not reality. That's not how sound projects in the real life. However, a lot of the audio reproduction is to create new experiences, and it's a very beautiful, really amazing experience. And if someone hears it the first time, eyes wide open, like, oh my god, what is this? It's wonderful. And that's why I really love it, and that's why I want to set it up here in the upstairs room, because my void pipes with the Cube Audio driver, they absolutely love this room and give me a 100% recital hall experience with those visual cues, but in a much more sophisticated way than most mainstream stuff do those visual cues. It's much better precision, but not in a fakery way, because a lot of the mainstream systems, they produce that precision by blowing up the contrast. So it has the low dynamic range that compresses the image to a point, but there are certain ranges of the frequency or certain phase shifts, bands of phase shifted out of phase, that make it pop out to have contrast. So your brain has more information, additional information to imagine how that thing looks in 3D, how to constrict the sound more into a solid object for your brain to interpret. So, but the Cube Audio, it's not doing these phasey things, and it's not doing these processing things. And there's a continuity, a harmonic and a timing continuity across the entire frequency band, and which gives it this realistic feeling that you don't get with multi-driver systems. And the voice of Lancelot downstairs, it gives me that concert hall experience. So recital, concert hall, and I love both, and they are the specialist of each. So recital specialist, concert hall specialist. And I don't see a conflict between the two or a challenge. It's they serve different purposes, and they are the masters of different purposes. So I really hope that this answered my question about what you want to learn, and how to think about these two speakers, or two types of speakers. And thank you. Kintaro has fallen asleep, and you will get a few extras. So there is Kintaro. Please like, subscribe, and bye bye. Can I hit stop button? No, I can't hit. It doesn't work. I have to. It doesn't want to stop. Look at that. I'm pushing stop, and